What is going on YouTube? Today I have an awesome video for you guys. I have the OneXPlayer Fly F1 Pro. This is the model with the AMD HX 370 with 32 gigabytes of RAM and a 2 terabyte SSD. And here I have the infamous Nintendo Switch 2. So if you guys haven't been to my channel before, I want to set the expectations on what you are about to see. So when I make these kinds of videos, I make them as if I'm talking to a friend. With that being said, this is going to be a very conversationalist type of video. If you guys have any comments on anything that I say or have any questions about whatever I say, please leave them in the comments down below. I love hearing from you guys, and I would love to keep this conversation going. Now, this is a direct comparison of the Switch 2 and the F1 Pro. The reason why I chose the F1 Pro for this video is because it's the nicest handheld that I have personally, and if you haven't heard of this before, it is a PC handheld, where this obviously is a Nintendo handheld. One thing that I want to get out of the way, I am going to choose a definitive winner at the end of this, but I really think you should have a PC handheld and a Switch 2. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one here, even if it's like a Steam Deck or something of that nature. Having a PC handheld for PC exclusives and a Nintendo Switch 2 for Nintendo exclusives, like, you will get all the gaming you could possibly want. Now, I know that is like a cop-out answer, so I will be choosing one at the end of this and giving my reasons. So if you'd like to hear what I have to say, please stick around. Before I get into the weeds of this video, if you'd like to leave a like, comment, or subscribe, that would really support the channel. And yeah, here we go. So first things first, let's boot each one of these bad mamma jammas on. So Switch 2 is updating, so while that is updating, let me go over just kind of like the hardware of the Fly F1 Pro. Now, I am going to give the direct comparisons, but I'm also going to add like a tertiary little side note of just including honorary mention PC handhelds, because the beauty of choosing a PC handheld is you don't have to get this one. There are so many options out there nowadays where you could really get something that suits your exact needs and exactly what you want out of a gaming handheld experience. So to preface that a little bit, let me tell you why I chose this. This is a 7-inch OLED panel. Now that OLED part is very important because OLED is just so beautiful. Like, for example, let me give you a little sneak peek here. I have my Asus Alamino PQ32 4K 240 Hz, whatever that stands for up there, and man, once you go OLED, you just cannot go back, let me tell you. It is such a different experience, especially on a handheld when you get those colors popping. So the OLED thing was huge for me. The 7-inch screen. Now, I know some of you may be thinking, hey, like, I want that big 8-inch mumbo jumbo screen, and I totally get that. But what you lose when getting a bigger screen is the portability factor. Now, it may not seem like it, but the F1 Pro is still like, the Switch 2 eats up the F1 Pro. Now the F1 Pro is thicker because it has more, cooling going on, more power, more juice, if you will. Now the Fly F1 Pro is a little thicker than the Switch 2. Let me stand that up for you real quick. But that does come with some benefits. As you can see, this little thickums here has like built-in ergonomics, actual handle grip built into the shell of the Fly F1 Pro, meaning when I grip this, it just feels like it is molded to my hand. Now, your experience may vary, but for me personally, this feels great. Now, the Switch 2, on the other hand, it is literally a tablet with Joy-Cons attached to it. That is literally what it is. Now, I will say this thing feels super thin, and it is absolutely amazing what Nintendo was able to squeeze out of here with such a small form factor. Let me get back into the F1 Pro. So, you have that nice 7-inch screen, a smaller overall footprint, which means it can fit in your backpack a lot better. Now, I have to be honest, still waiting for my Genki shipment for this. I have really tried not to purchase other things on the side. I got the Genki stuff like a month ago, and I'm still waiting. I'm holding strong. I do have a trip coming up here in about 2 weeks, so please Genki, send that out. And I purchased it with my own dollary dues. Didn't get the special YouTubers treatment. Maybe that's what it is, but I would love to be able to throw this thing in a case and put it in my backpack so I don't have to worry about damaging it. Now, let's take a cruise around the kind of like port situation and hardware that we got going on. So you have a power button here. Unfortunately, no fingerprint sensor. Up, down, and you have a microphone headphone jack, USB USB Type C, Type 4, USB 4C, 40 gigabits per second port here, USB 3.2 Type A port, and a USB-C port on the bottom with, and this is very important, a regular micro SD card slot. So I have a terabyte micro SD card slot in there. I've thrown plenty of AAA games, indie games, they all play on there just fine. But the Switch 2, under here, where you could see I'm waiting to get a Micro Express Nintendo Edition card that works for that. Because you do not get regular micro SD card support when you are getting the Switch 2. Now, going over the buttons, you have like the Xbox style layout here, and you have a start button, a select button. Here you have a button that will bring you to the dashboard. You have the OneXPlayer turbo mode button there, and you also have a keyboard button as well. And as you can see, you have RGBs for that MLG Pro experience. This is actually a very important note here. Speakers on these, absolutely fantastic. If you have the Harman APO installed, it is definitely a hassle to install that. But the fan, now I didn't realize how much of a problem this would be, not for the Fly. See, this is the intake, and then it outtakes here. Now, I love gaming on the couch or on my bed with this sitting on a pillow on top of my tum-tum like that. And what that means is the pillow is on the bottom here. Now you may be thinking, why could that be a problem? Well, in comes the Switch 2's ventilation system, where the intake fans are at the bottom here, and then it exhausts from the top. So when I have this thing on my little tum-tum and I'm trying to game all nasty, get sick with it and whatnot, I just get like, what's the word I'm looking for? Paranoid that this thing is gonna overheat and blow up on my tum-tum. Do not have that experience with this, which, I'm going to just keep pulling the thread of the random thoughts coming down. I don't know if you guys can tell. This isn't scripted. I'm just going off the top, just like how I would talk to one of the homies. Speaking of heat, look at this. You see that on top? I could see my battery percentage, what it is currently pulling, the GPU. Oh, I forgot I got Sekiro running in the background. But the GPU throttle that it's going at right now, the temperatures of the iGPU and the CPU, as well as VRAM usage, current FPS, pretty much all of the information that you could possibly want. Well, you kind of get the gist of it, right? Like this is a built-in thing into OneXPlayer. Well, you kind of have to download it on the side, but it's built into the UI. You could also get like a Steam overlay, a Razer overlay, whatever kind of overlay suits your fancies. Now, with the Switch 2, this is kind of most of the information that you're going to get. No, like how much wattage that the little NVIDIA chip is pulling or anything like that. So that leads me into my next topic of discussion. You're one of two people, in my personal opinion. You are either someone that enjoys all of that information, or you're someone who just wants to play games. You're someone who wants to tinker with what you got, or you want, a company to tell you how you should enjoy your games and just enjoy them how they tell you to. Now, you may think that that is a very crazy, far to the right take, but what I mean by this is on this, I can choose my game, tinker with the settings in the game. I could turn on AMD, AMF 2.1 fluid frames, frame generation, blah, blah, like anything and everything you could possibly think of is tunable and adjustable on a Windows PC handheld, and especially the Fly F1 Pro in my experience. If you're getting a Switch 2, you're just playing games. Now, there's kind of a beauty to that, I'm going to be honest. The same reason why some people still buy DAPs, digital audio players, to play music separated from their phones. The same reason people buy, Kindles or those little e-ink scribe writer things instead of an iPad. Sometimes simplification and just turning it on, like plugging away at a game, that is just what people want. And you know what? I respect that. But going with the Fly F1 Pro, you are going to spend time tinkering with your settings to find that sweet spot. Find what exact wattage, what settings are going to get you the highest frames. You're going to leave that little info bar on top to chase high frames. And sometimes, I'm guilty of this too, chasing the frames is almost half as fun and as exciting as just playing the game itself. I know I can't be the only one that feels that way, but some people just want to hop in here and have a good time, and that is completely understandable. Before I keep going into the rabbit hole of games, I didn't get to go over the Switch 2's physical buttons and hardware and mumbo jumbo. So it's kind of simple. You have a Type-C connection on top and a 3.5 millimeter headphone jack. You have a volume up and down and a power button. On the bottom, you have your USB Type-C, and that is where you will be docking this. And you have a very, very awesome heavy-duty feeling kickstand with your Express micro SD card slot. Now, let's not forget the magic of it all. Being able to take this off and play around. Now, this is cool. All right, I'm not gonna front. I can't wait till I get grips so I could feel comfortable holding it in handheld, or even just playing it like this with like on my tummy, because you could set like the kickstand up and then just like have these at your side and then just watch it. Yeah, I've seen like the memes of people like building contraptions to hold this over their bed so they could just lay down and look straight up at it, and then they show like a baby looking at like those spinny toys. All right, I digress. Either way, iconic, but I never play it like this. I'm always playing regular handheld. Nothing is worse than when you're playing with the homie and you're playing Super Smash Brothers, and then he's got this and he gives you a Joy-Con. You know what I'm saying? And then he wrecks you, and then he makes it seem like, you know, he's... All right, I'm sorry. I'm going down another rabbit hole here. Let's get this out of the way. I feel like we have to. All right. Games. Games on PC, they're just cheaper. They're cheaper, arguably better in some cases. And what I mean by that is, like, I could get Cyberpunk on here, but with that HX 370, 32 gigabytes of RAM, I can dedicate however many gigs of VRAM I want on this, have AFM 2.1, AMD, FSR, whatever, fine tune it exactly how I want, play it on here, and have a grand old time. This, like I said, is just going to tell me how I'm going to play Cyberpunk. I could choose like quality or performance, and that's it. But the problem is, Cyberpunk is a 5-year-old game, and I think I got it on here for like $25 not too long ago, and I just refused to buy it on the Switch 2, because what kind of schmuck would I be if I bought the same game twice to play at a arguably lower quality? Now, the Switch 2 handles games just fine, but I want to be able to play those heavy-hitting cross-platform games how I want to play them specifically. So if there is a Cyberpunk, or let's say Grand Theft Auto 6 came out tomorrow for both, I'm going to get that game that's on both of these systems every time on my PC handheld, because not only is it on my F1 Pro, but now, excuse my mess, it's also on my PC. So I'm not locked down to the Nintendo ecosystem, and the more and more I kind of go into this, the more and more that Nintendo is Apple, PC handhelds are Android. And I know, you know, a lot of people are Apple fanboys, and I get that, I really do. High quality, it tells you how to do your thing, but it tells you how to do it in a good way. This, the skill level, the slope of knowledge needed to tune your games how you want to deal with Windows is just, the barrier of entry is higher to comfortably get into this. But when you do, this is such an enjoyable experience, especially on this handheld. Now, the Legion Go 2 is coming out soon, and that is going to have that OLED screen, 120 hertz, I think, 8-inch. So it's basically going to be the Switch 2 of the PC land, but with that OLED screen and the Z2 Extreme chip. So I think that could be like a blockbuster if they hit all of those wickets correctly. To get into games a little bit more, like Donkey Kong Bonanza, I've been playing this. This game is, it's Masterpiece would be going a little far. Like, I think the Last of Us series, those are Masterpiece games in my humble opinion. Donkey Kong is just fun. It is super fun, a new platforming experience. Nintendo, with their first party hits, they really do hit it out of the park. Zelda, my last save was from like 2018, so playing Breath of the Wild Switch 2 edition really does feel like a whole brand new game, and I am just having so much fun enjoying it. So this, if I haven't gotten into it yet, this is $450, right? This is $1,400. Now, I know that may have made you throw up in your mouth a little bit, and I have to say, all of these Z2 Extreme PC handhelds are at that $1,000 mark, like at a minimum, it's looking like. So, again, the barrier of entry is much higher, but here's the kind of counter argument with that. Obviously, games here are like $70, $80, and you could get games here half off. Sometimes they're like $3 for a game that's 5 years old. You could get crazy, crazy deals on things and just have an awesome experience playing some oldies, but some goodies. Here, I feel like playing these first party exclusives, especially when they are like Breath of the Wild and they are like 8 years old and you're paying $70 for a Switch 2 edition, you're not even getting a discount. It's pretty nuts, and the more games that you get, as you can see, I had a Switch 2, so I have a decent little backlog here, some more games hidden, and physical games as well. But that will make the price even out eventually. You know what I mean? At some point, like the entry price for this skyrockets and then it just slowly goes up. But I feel like this is a steady, rapid incline when you also include in the Nintendo Online little, whatchamacallit, the Nintendo Online membership. Like this, you have internet, you're online, just like a normal PC. This, you have to pay some dollary dues every month. They give you some cute things like free Switch 2, like upgrade keys. But as soon as you stop paying for the online, you lose the keys. That is just not something that really happens on a PC handheld. That actually, talking about all these games totally made me forget about the fact that you do in fact have a physical game cartridge slot. I don't even really want to buy physical games anymore. Not only is it a hassle to have to like carry those around with you and not on a memory card, but Nintendo is selling you little game disc cards with digital keys on them. Like, why would you even, just for the nostalgia so you could taste the game? I don't get it. I don't get it. I'm digital all the way. I have some old games here. And these are all of my physical games. This, and Zelda. But just in case I come across a cool deal one day, I'll get a physical game. And one thing that's actually quite interesting about this as well is I'm going to talk battery life real quick. This has a 50 watt hour battery. I have no idea how many watt hours this is, but if you are playing a AAA title like Donkey Kong or Zelda, you're going to get like 2 hours max, and you can't crank any settings or anything like that to play with that battery life. Here, you are going to be able to play with the settings to get where you want, but if you are playing AAA like at 18, 20 watts, you know, getting really nice frames, it's going to be the same, about 2 hours. I know a lot of people are hating on that kind of battery life, and I get it if you're on a plane or something and you don't want to plug this thing in, but even most planes nowadays have a little outlet that you could plug into, so that doesn't really bother me too much, and if it does, I'm always bringing a battery bank along with me. The last thing that I would like to touch on is just like the secret sauce factor of these things. And what I mean by that is what makes each of these special. They both play games, right? This obviously Nintendo games, this obviously Steam games. It could play Xbox games, Epic games, Ubisoft games. You could stream from your PC via Moonlight, Steam Link, Apollo, Razer Cortex. This you can dock And trust me, that is honestly a pretty cool feature, not to have to tinker with anything. You just slap it in, grab your Pro controller, you're gaming in 4K sometimes. You can't even really, you don't really know. It like chooses for you depending on the game if it's like 1080p or 4K, and it doesn't tell you the frame rates that you're losing or anything like that. But what I will say is even Donkey Kong, which had headlines for horrible performance, I genuinely did not see anything that took away from the enjoyment of the experience. So take that for what you will. But of course, the big thing with the Switch, it's dockable. I will say, with the USB 4 port, you can hook this up to an eGPU, and there's plenty of eGPUs, mobile ones from like Asus, and you could also get AGO02 or whatever, where you could hook up a full-fledged GPU to it, USB for it, and now you have a desktop PC experience from your handheld PC. I've been thinking about doing that, but I mean, I already have my 4080 Super PC over there, so it's kind of like, what's the point? I'll just leave this thing its own little thingamajig here. I gotta say though, the travesty of the Switch 2 that the PC handheld does not have as a problem is Nintendo has locked down their USB-C ports. Now you may be wondering, what do I mean by that? And I will make this very easy to understand. So obviously there's video out with the Switch 2. Like, you plug this into a dock and it works. But if you plug in like a USB-C to HDMI or adapter, it doesn't. Like, you need a special dongle you need a special dongle sold by companies where then you're risking like Nintendo bricking your stuff. Which, by the way, if you buy a used Switch 2 and someone used it to try and rip games off of, you could be buying a brick Switch 2. That is a problem in and of itself, but I digress. Here's what I mean. So, as you can see, excuse my mess. As you can see, I have my Asus 4K HDMI DisplayPort, blah blah blah, whatever. It's got a KVM switch built into it. And what I mean by that is this little doodad here, I'm going to stick in here. So now I'm plugged in and I hit USB Type-C on my monitor, and as you can see, how cool is that? And because I have my mouse hooked up to it, oops, as you can see, my mouse is now connected because my mouse is on my monitor, my keyboard too. I could, let's see, as you can see, single HDMI. And I really like doing this, like when I was installing Bazzite and whatnot, I could just plug this in, and then all of a sudden my monitor here with my USB Type-C KVM switch is hooked up to this, and I could just install updates, install drivers, and I wouldn't have to kind of like fiddle with an on-screen keyboard with this at all. And it was just such a cool experience. Which, by the way, Bazzite, if you're not familiar, it's basically, the whole SteamOS thing that everyone loves talking about. I made a video of it. I'll drop it down below if you are curious. But I decided to stick with Windows. I'm comfortable with it, familiar, and most importantly, the Harman APO. Windows is just what I like personally. Now, switch to its OS is super clean, super easy. You could be playing a game, turn it off, come back to it 2 days later, minimum battery drain, turn it back on, you're right where you started. It is a very clean, seamless gaming machine. I love that about it. But I was talking about special sauce factors. Now, you may be thinking, that's pretty neat. But let me show you guys something. Oh, and by the way, that KVM switch, that USB Type 4, USB 4 Type C, whatever, it is currently pumping 65 watts into the Fly F1 Pro. So getting full charged power there. Now, you guys may be wondering why I have my iPad Pro here. And these are handheld gaming devices. You're going to travel with these, right? Well, a lot of people like bringing AR glasses and doing that crazy thing. And you know what? I'm very curious to try that as well. But when I found out that I could do this with some of the tech that I already had, check this out. I just plugged in a USB Type-C from here to there. Allow it. I'm going to click extend. Alright, now I wasn't looking at what I was doing. I accidentally streamed my desktop PC to my handheld here. So right now this is actually my desktop PC that I'm playing on. Oopsies. Let me go back here real quick. Alright, I kind of boogered up. I needed to click down here to mirror or extend this. So now I have an extended little display down here of my F1 Pro, meaning that I could set this up on a stand, use this as a controller, and have a bigger screen to play off of. Now this is an 11-inch iPad Pro. You can do this with a 13-inch. You could even do this with a MacBook, anything that this Duet app works on. Maybe I could go a little further into depth than this and give it its own video if you're curious. But I just think that this is so awesome that you can do this. And just to show you guys, here's like Steam. Okay, I brought Steam up over here. But I mean, how cool is that? Isn't that not just like the coolest thing that you've ever seen? Like, I understand you can dock this and that is super neat, but the world of tinkering with a PC is just, it is just beyond like what you could imagine, and I think this is so cool to do with the tech that you have. Alright guys, I think I have run my suck for quite a long time. This is going to be quite the doozy of a video, but if you made it this far, I really appreciate you sticking by. Again, leave some comments. I want to hear from you guys continuing on this conversation, and yeah, drop a sub. Thank you guys for stopping by, and I'll catch you in the next one. Later.